cultura.
O escritor Alain de Botton é um dos ensaístas mais vendidos em todo o mundo. Em 17 anos, Alain de Botton, agora com 41, escreveu 11 livros, dos quais vendeu milhões de exemplares em mais de 30 países, incluindo o Irão. De como o Proust pode mudar a sua vida, a O Consolo da Filosofia, passando por status, ansiedade, até ao mais recente Religião Para Ateus, quando Alain de Botton escreve sobre literatura, filosofia ou arquitetura, está de facto sempre a perseguir o mesmo objetivo: construir guias que nos ajudem na arte de viver, no amor e na amizade, no trabalho e em sociedade, em casa ou em viagem. Acusado por muitos académicos de ser apenas mais um autor de autoajuda, a verdade é que Alain de Botton se distingue pela lucidez e pela ironia com que põe a sua erudição ao serviço da felicidade no cotidiano. Recorrendo a figuras como Séneca e Montaigne, Shakespeare ou Jane Austen, Alain de Botton defende que o Ocidente está a viver uma crise moral, que o Ocidente perdeu o sentido de comunidade e que a arte deve servir para nos fazer sentir melhor. Uma ideia com um potencial polémico muito maior do que pode parecer à primeira vista. Bem-vindo ao Ca Mara Clara. O que é que distingue o best-seller Alain de Botton de tantos outros autores de autoajuda? Bom, para começo de conversa, Alain de Botton é um intelectual com uma preparação à prova de bala e uma capacidade literária fora do comum. Alain de Botton é filho de um milionário irascível que tratou de que os filhos fossem desde cedo fluentes em alemão, inglês e francês. Alain de Botton formou-se em História, em Cambridge, e em Filosofia no King's College. Preparava o seu doutoramento em Harvard quando decidiu largar a universidade para investir tudo na escrita. Aos 23 anos, o seu primeiro livro, Ensaios de Amor, vendeu 2 milhões de exemplares e continua a ser reeditado.
Cresci num lar de ateus militantes, filho de 2 judeus seculares que colocavam a crença religiosa algures em pé de igualdade com o Pai Natal.
Eis uma autobiografia sumária escrita por Alain de Botton no seu mais recente livro, Religião Para Ateus, um guia para não crentes sobre as utilizações da religião. Na verdade, é também um guia para crentes, por lembrar todos os que o leem de que muitos dos problemas da alma moderna podem ser resolvidos com sucesso através de soluções propostas pelas religiões. Escrito por alguém que afirma nunca ter vacilado na certeza de que Deus não existe, o 11º livro deste ensaísta e pensador, nascido em 1969 na cidade suíça de Zurique, é uma obra profundamente religiosa, se considerar a origem da palavra. Religião vem do latim religare, e nesta obra é isso que Botton faz: religa e compreende, à luz do cristianismo, do judaísmo e do budismo, o mundo em que vivemos hoje. Essa tentativa de compreensão do mundo e da humanidade e essa procura de solução para os problemas da sociedade secular têm sido, aliás, as pistas seguidas por Alain de Botton desde o momento em que começou a publicar e a construir a sua filosofia do cotidiano. Estreou-se em 1993 com Ensaios de Amor, livro que vendeu em todo o mundo 2 milhões de exemplares. Botton escreveu quando era ainda um jovem de 23 anos, a viver há pouco mais de uma década em Londres. Já tinha então passado por Cambridge e já era mestre em filosofia pelo King's College. Trocou o doutoramento pela escrita, apesar de ter ficado ligado ao ensino. Na Universidade de Londres dirigiu o programa de licenciatura em filosofia e em 2008 criou The School of Life, uma escola na qual saber viver faz parte do currículo, proposta que Botton também faz no livro Religião Para Ateus. Defende, por exemplo, que os romances Ana Karenina e Madame Bovary, em vez de integrarem cursos de literatura, deviam ser selecionados para um curso sobre a compreensão das tensões do casamento. É o que acontece na londrina The School of Life, onde as refeições e as férias se partilham e onde os alunos podem fazer psicoterapia. Os livros de Alain de Botton foram também ponto de partida para outras aventuras, como as séries documentais que concebeu e apresentou no Channel 4, Philosophy baseou-se em muitos dos ensinamentos de um outro best-seller do autor, O Consolo da Filosofia, publicado em 2000, e Status Anxiety partiu do livro homónimo, Status Ansiedade, no qual Botton, com a sua habitual simplicidade e o seu habitual sentido de humor, revela que a sede de status, como todos os apetites, tem vantagens, mas em excesso pode matar. Fora da televisão, há ainda que somar a Living Architecture, uma organização que propôs a vários arquitetos que construíssem casas para férias, que podem ser alugadas por qualquer pessoa. Um projeto que, tal como o livro The Architecture of Happiness, de 2006, reflete a paixão de Botton pela arquitetura. Outros projetos e títulos da vida aventurosa e surpreendente de Alain de Botton haveria a citar. Por exemplo, os livros como Proust pode mudar a sua vida, outro dos best-sellers do autor, editado em 1997. De 2002, A Arte de Viajar, e de 2009, não apenas Alegrias e Tristezas do Trabalho, como também Uma Semana no Aeroporto, um diário de Heathrow, escrito após um convite para Botton se tornar o primeiro escritor residente do principal aeroporto de Londres. São estas algumas das etapas de um percurso que chegou agora ao já referido Religião para Ateus. Nele, reconhece que precisamos de arte porque somos muito esquecidos. Provavelmente, é também por isso que precisamos dos livros de Alain de Botton. Precisamos de escritores que nos lembrem disto.
A vida é uma competência que precisamos de adquirir como quem aprende a andar de bicicleta.
E disto...
A filosofia pode abordar de forma útil as nossas ansiedades e oferecer consolo.
E disto...
A literatura pode mudar as nossas vidas.
Em Religião para Ateus, Alain de Botton declara que, para si, como para tantos outros, Deus não existe. Perante este vazio, a literatura e a arte devem ter uma vocação terapêutica, uma ideia que incomoda muita gente.
Bonsoir, Alain de Botton.
Bonsoir.
Merci d'avoir accepté notre invitation. Dans votre dernier livre, Religião Para Ateus, le fait pour vous que Dieu n'existe pas, c'est juste le point de départ en ce qui concerne les religions. Votre thèse défend que les religions ont beaucoup à apprendre aux athées. Quoi exactement?
You're right that normally, when atheists and religious people are arguing, they argue about whether God exists or not. And I say very clearly at the beginning of my book, this is a boring question. It's an important question, but it's boring. And it's boring because people never agree. You can't persuade someone into belief or out of belief. It's just something that comes from the heart. So I park this question to one side and I try and ask another question, which is, okay, how can we live well without religion? And my answer is, some of the way that we can live well without religion is by studying religion and remembering the lessons. In areas as diverse as community building, education, art, architecture, morality, institution building, there are lessons that an atheist can learn from religion.
Vous défendez que les religions sont les systèmes d'éducation les plus efficaces de l'histoire de l'humanité. C'est très intéressant cette idée.
Absolutely. They are giant schools for teaching people wisdom. Now, I don't always agree with the wisdom they teach, but I like the idea that they are trying to teach wisdom. We should think of religions as machines that surround the human being from the moment he or she is born to the moment he or she dies, and at every important moment they say, think this, remember that, look at it this way. They are constantly educating and training the human soul. Now, I as an atheist look at this and I think, okay, who's doing that outside of religion? And one answer is the universities. This is what universities are for. But if you went to a university and you said, I have come to study how to live and how to die, how to be good, how to be a good brother, a son, a friend, a lover, the university would panic. It would say, what are you doing here? We teach you how to become an accountant or a lawyer, but we don't teach how to live. So my question is, well, where do we go to learn how to live? And the answer is, maybe you read a self-help book. But in our culture, stupid people read self-help books, right? That's the cliche. The cliche is if you're a serious intellectual person who watches this show, you don't read self-help books because they are naive, etc. So my feeling is we have a crisis in the education of wisdom. With the decline in religion, this job has been abandoned. And I think this is a terrible problem.
Vous allez plus loin. D'après vous, dans nos sociétés séculaires, on souffre de manque d'orientation morale et de sens de communauté. On est malade d'avoir la liberté de tout faire. C'est une maladie émotionnelle et spirituelle, évidemment, mais c'est ça.
Absolutely. I think the number one thing that is missing is guidance. We don't have anyone or anything that is guiding us in the way the church used to. Now, the answer often that atheists give is to say, yes, but the church was bullying. It told us crazy things like we would go to hell. We don't need this kind of guidance. I agree, but I still think there is room in society for the transmission of wisdom from one generation to another. How we should live, how we should manage relationships, how we should approach our working lives, how we should approach mortality. These are major questions, and they are not systematically addressed by modern society. It's as if we were teaching physics, and we said to people, look, the answer to physics lies maybe in a book somewhere. Go and find it yourself, and if you have a good answer, come and tell me. But we do not teach physics. Now, that would be crazy when it comes to physics. But this is what we do with wisdom. We abandon people to their own freedom, and this freedom in some ways is welcome and in some ways is very dangerous.
Mais c'est aussi une idée dangereuse pour beaucoup d'entre nous qui croient que la seule façon d'éviter les fascismes et dont on a des expériences traumatiques au cours de tout le XXe siècle, par exemple, c'est exactement l'absolue liberté de choix individuel. Alors, c'est
I agree. You put your finger on the number one problem, which is the fear of fascism and dictatorship. So anytime anyone comes along and says, maybe we need some moral guidance, maybe we need transmission of wisdom, immediately alarm bells ring. Ah, my goodness, we're going to end up with Stalin, Hitler, dictatorship, etc. And I think we need to calm down, and we need to see that, yes, it's a slippery slope. At the bottom maybe is Hitler, but we can hover midway. I think we need to remember that we do not live in a totally individualistic, free society, because we live in a commercial society where the most powerful engines in this society are commercial organizations selling us all the time. Buy this, buy that, respect this, get your body like this. We have so many suggestions on how to live. And we don't live in a silent public space. Public space is being bought by modern corporations. And so it's very paradoxical to hear intellectuals and artists say, hey, let's not try and influence anyone because this might end up with Hitler. And you want to say, look, this is not the greatest danger here. At the very moment when we are surrounded by all sorts of messages, you are abandoning it for fear of ruining the purity. But no one has told McDonald's this. So I think we are being, the intellectual and artistic classes are being unnecessarily modest and abandoning public space to commercial interests.
D'accord. Alors, quelle idéologie proposeriez-vous pour cerner ces méthodes religieuses qui vous plaisent tellement dans son efficace?
Okay. I don't think we need to write a new Bible, create a new holy text with all the truths in it for atheists, nothing like this. We have so many good ideas in our society. They are, go to any bookshop, there they all are, from Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Thomas Mann. We have so many good ideas. The problem is not that we are short of good ideas. The problem is the good ideas we have do not stick. They are not present in life. So we know everything there is to know about being good and being kind and being wise, but we don't make this knowledge effective. And one of the ways to look at religion is that it's a giant system to make ideas vivid and alive day to day. Religions know that we are not
Les rituels.
Les rituels. Religions know that we are not just intellectual creatures. We're not just brains. We are whole beings. Bodies, senses, we have a taste, smell. So what do? Throughout the year, They, every day, remind us of something. They take us on every day and say, today you will think of St. Jerome, today you will think of the concept of atonement, whatever it is. They sit us down, they give us meals, they give us buildings, they give us art. They surround us with a whole system. And what do outside of religion? We just let people be free. So, the idea is, if you leave people freedom, they will discover the important ideas by themselves. It's a lovely idea, but it's not true, right? We all know, you and I, that there are all sorts of good ideas that we don't really think about because life is busy, we're reading the newspaper, and so ideas of atonement or of kindness, etc., just, we don't concentrate on them. Because in order to concentrate on things, we need, you mentioned the word rituals. What is a ritual? A ritual is when the community tries to remind individuals of something very inner, spiritual or psychological. The modern world, the secular world, is very suspicious of rituals. It says the community must not intrude on the inner being. The danger with this is that we are then left alone with, Facebook, and this is a problem.
And television.
And television, yeah. Not this show. This is fine, yeah.
Une autre idée offensive pour beaucoup d'écrivains et d'artistes dans ce livre, je parle toujours de ce livre, c'est votre idée que l'art doit être utile et pédagogique. Les artistes contemporains, comme vous le savez mieux que moi, la plupart d'eux sont fiers de ne pas être engagés à aucun agenda politique, moral, spirituel.
You're absolutely right. I feel passionately that artists, in the great periods of art, in the greatest periods of art, art has always had an agenda. The problem with agendas is not having one, it's having a bad one. And in the 20th century, there have been some very bad agendas for art. I come back to our two old candidates, Stalin, Hitler. Who used art in the most corrupt and awful ways. But, let's remember that Bellini and Giotto were also working with an agenda, and it wasn't a bad agenda, at the artistic level. So, yes, religious art is trying to make propaganda, but at its best, it's trying to make propaganda for some quite nice things, like kindness and forgiveness and atonement. These are not bad ideas. So I'm not for a moment ignoring the horrible sides of religion. I'm an atheist, I know them all, but I also want to defend the vigor with which religions use art in the service of life. They want art to have an effect on our life. And as you say, artists panic when you tell them this. They say, oh my goodness, you are trying to turn artists into propagandists for something evil. I say, no, we can use art to promote good things. Now, the great artists do this anyway. If you think of someone like Van Gogh, he is a propagandist. What is he a propagandist of? So many things. He is a propagandist of the appreciation of daily life, of the resignation to suffering, of the acceptance of the challenges of existence. I mean, all kinds of ideas. The man is a religious painter without a religion. He is a humanist. And that's why we love him. So it's not artists who are stopping this. It's the museum culture, the white walls, the empty, neutral space, which makes art seem like something for the weekend, something for a bit of leisure, rather than something that could change and save your life, which is how most great artists want it to be. That's what Van Gogh wanted, that's what Tolstoy wanted. Most great artists, why are they doing this stuff? They're doing this stuff because they want to help you. But we deny this.
Or help themselves.
Or help themselves, absolutely.
Mais vous croyez que ce non-engagement des artistes contemporains, est-il un signe de décadence?
Absolutely. I think it is a sign of decadence. What do we mean by decadence? Decadence is forgetting what it takes for a society to be civilized. And one of the things it takes is self-discipline, the education of the self. That in a way, people accept nowadays that we go to the gym to train your body. But if you said, look, I'm not training my body, I'm interested in training my mind. I want to be a nicer person. That would sound like such a strange mission. So people accept that you go jogging for an hour a day, but if you said, I'm going to be quiet for an hour a day to look inside myself and discover sources of compassion, this would be completely weird. But it shouldn't be. And this is what I mean by structure, to try and discipline ourselves and structure the inner life.
Oui, parce que exactement une des choses qui vous soulignez dans ce livre, c'est que une des choses que les religions peuvent apprendre aux athées, c'est exactement la discipline envers nos engagements, la conscience de notre liaison au passé. Et une autre fois, la communauté, le sens d'appartenance.
Absolutely. One of the wonderful things that religions do is they make us feel small. Every now and then, they take us from daily life where we are surrounded by other people and the human drama. They take us to a space, maybe it's a cathedral, maybe it's a church, maybe it's outside under the stars if you're a Zen Buddhist, and they say, basically, you are a very small part of a very large universe. And now, why is this a good thing? It's a good thing because our ego, I'm not just speaking myself, but all of us, our ego grows too large daily. And so we become too important in our own eyes. And religion puts us back down. It introduces us to the wider world. And it's a nice way of feeling small. Now, again, an atheist might say, yes, but I don't need religion for this. I can do it on my own. I just need to go to the planetarium. I can go for a walk in the mountains. Yes, but do you actually do this? You see, again, it's about finding structure. Religions do this regularly. And I'm impressed by the way that religions use calendars. They use time. They structure time. We leave time, spiritual time, just for ourselves. Whereas religions put it in the diary for us. If it's not in our diary, we'll probably forget it.
Mais à la fin, comment peut-on substituer la promesse de salvation des religions?
I don't believe in an afterlife, and I think at this moment atheists are here and religious people are here. You can't bridge the gap. I don't think that secular art should try and compete with offering an afterlife, but I also think that life is longer and longer these days for all of us. It has its own difficulties and its own solutions, and even if secular art doesn't remove the fear of death, it can still do an awful lot, even outside of promising us paradise.
Je pense que c'est peut-être peu substituer une chose pour l'autre, je ne sais pas.
Look, I'm an atheist, and I think it's enough for me. And I think many atheists feel that actually it's possible to have a good life. Are you perhaps more scared at 3 in the morning when you wake up and your heart is beating? Are you maybe more scared than a religious person? Maybe. Are you more worried about dying? Maybe. But that doesn't mean to say there is nothing in art, culture. It's all we've got. And I don't know what religious people have got. I can't believe in the religious answer. But I know what the cultural answer is, and I think it's pretty good as well. That's all I can say.
Avec ce livre, vous avez mis en colère à la fois les athées et les religieux. C'est bien pour un philosophe.
It's interesting that in England and America, the people who were most upset were the atheists. And they said, you have betrayed atheism. You have been too kind to religion. And I said, look, I'm not interested in being kind or not kind. I'm interested in telling the truth as I see it. It is ridiculous to see Christianity in Europe today as a major evil. Was it a major evil in the past? Yes. At certain periods of history, it really was a big enemy of all sorts of things that atheists would now care for. But I don't think it's the number one enemy by any means. And I think we need to be honest about this. Of course, atheists should be vigilant about religion, but the idea that they should be forever hostile belongs to a different era. I think we have moved on from this. And, yeah.
L'Académie s'énerve avec vous dès vos premiers best-sellers. Surtout, évidemment, les écoles de philosophie, d'histoire, de littérature. Pourquoi?
Look, I think the university starts to teach literature and philosophy and history at the end of the 19th century. Before then, it was for everybody. Everybody read philosophy and history. It wasn't a specialist subject. Suddenly these subjects become university subjects. Suddenly you need to be a professor. You need to study with a professor to understand this. And then I come along and I say very publicly, no, this is for everybody. And immediately there is a war because the professors are saying, hang on a minute, we are very important to this story. Don't cut us out. You can't do this without us. And I'm saying, well, in many ways you can. And it's a conflict of interests. I passionately believe that what kills philosophy is keeping it for a very small elite. You know, less and less people study philosophy. In the 19th century, in Portugal, in England, to be an educated person meant to know about philosophy. Now, 1%, less than 1% of people have any idea of anything that a philosopher might do. And this can't be good, and this is the result of the academy being too jealous with its knowledge.
Selon je sais, c'est à Cambridge, quand vous étiez un étudiant, que vous avez commencé à rêver d'une autre université, école pour les humanités particulièrement.
I went to so-called, a very good university, and I was very disappointed. I was disappointed by the fact that there was no communication with the big questions outside the university. So outside the university, people ask, how do I manage my work life? How do I cope with living in the modern world? How do I deal with my family, my children, my responsibilities to the government, to private life? All these questions. And I was amazed by how seldom these questions entered the university. And this inspired me to think, couldn't we start something else? Something that would be addressing the big questions of life, but in the public space. I remember reading about the histories of Greek and Roman philosophers, and the way that in Greek and Roman times, going to a philosopher was like going to the hairdresser. They were in public, they were everywhere. And this sounds so strange to us now, but it shouldn't be. Of course, why not?
Alors, vous avez créé the School of Life. Comment ça fonctionne?
So it's a little institution which is growing every day. It's called the School of Life, and it teaches answers to the great questions of life. So every night of the week in London you can come by and there are teachers teaching things like how to deal with the loss of love, how to deal with a terrible illness, how to deal with a shortage of money. And the answers are sophisticated but interesting, playful and very human. People talk to each other. It's a mixture of community, therapy, a lecture, a university. It's all rolled into one. It works very well. People like it.
And it's heaven.
It's a provocation. It's a provocation to the other university. We're about 100 meters from London University, and we are there. We have a kebab shop on one side and a hairdresser on the other, and we are a provocation. And we are saying, well, we're the School of Life. What are you?
Je pourrais y aller?
Absolutely. Please come. Please come. It's for everybody. Yeah. Next time you're in London, you go on the website and then you come.
Ok, d'accord. Comment Proust, pour changer votre vie, c'est autre de vos succès? Comment, à la recherche du temps perdu, peut nous aider? Par exemple, c'est le titre d'un des chapitres de ce livre, à nous aider, par exemple, à souffrir avec succès. C'est bien ça, souffrir avec succès.
First of all, I think that all great novels can help us to live. This sounds like a very strange idea. I mean, it's this title, How Proust Can Change Your Life, is almost funny, but it shouldn't be funny. I mean, that's why Proust wrote his book, to change our life. It sounds too ambitious, but it isn't. It's a sign of how mediocre our ambitions are, that we would think that ambition too high. No, it's exactly what a great novelist wants to do. That's what, you could write How Tolstoy Can Change Your Life. Any great novelist does this in different ways. I compare it almost to putting on a new pair of glasses. Every time that you read a great writer, certain things come into focus. You notice things. You come away from reading Proust and you think, oh, that's so Proustian. Oh, that thing's so Proustian. What do we mean by that? We mean by that Proust has made us see it. It was invisible before, and he's made us see it. To come to your question about suffering, Proust suffered all the time. He was one of the illest men. He spent most of his life in bed. And I ask at the beginning, well, this surely suggests that the guy has nothing to teach us if he himself suffers. But a lot of his book is given over to a description of how suffering can teach us. Not all suffering. There are bad ways of suffering, where suffering leads you into denial, anger, paranoia. But the best kinds of suffering are when we are able to learn from suffering. Proust says that good doctors always have to be ill, because the best doctor has to know suffering from the inside. And he means this also for himself, that he suffers a lot, but he has been able, in his suffering, to learn things.
La volonté de construire des guides pour mieux vivre, c'est le cœur de toute votre œuvre. Dans Les Consolations de la philosophie, un de mes favoris, je dois dire, préférés, vous nous parlez du problème des attentes inadéquates comme source de grande partie de nos souffrances aujourd'hui.
I think a lot of what makes us suffer is an idea of what is normal. A normal marriage, a normal job, a normal holiday, a normal visit to a museum. We have these ideas, and very often we don't feel very normal. We're in the museum, but I don't know, we don't feel right. We're in our marriage, but it feels a bit strange. But the idea of what is normal is formed by the media, by films, by conversation among friends, and very often the truth of what is normal is not in the description of what is normal. And this is where art comes in. The best works of art remind us of what we are actually like, not what we're supposed to be like, not what we're supposed to be like in a marriage, at work, on a holiday, but what we are actually like. And that's why, with the best books, it's sometimes like meeting a new friend. You think, at last, I don't have to be so alone with my secrets. The best books know about us, they know the secret sides of us, and when we read them, we find that we are not freakish, singular, odd people, but we are part of the human race.
Dans une de vos conférences à TED, vous avez donné, je crois qu'à propos de ce livre exactement, vous avez donné un très très intéressant exemple avec Hamlet. Parce que c'était très très intéressant la façon dont Hamlet serait traité s'il était aujourd'hui là-bas, la figure de Hamlet, son destin, son histoire.
I was comparing the way that the media deals with failure and the way that artists deal with failure. The media is tough on failure, and that's why we're all so afraid of failure. You know, why are people afraid of losing their job, of being humiliated? It's not just the loss of money, it's the way in which the failure will be discussed and interpreted by others. And, you know, if you look at great works of art, like Shakespeare's Hamlet, you know, if a newspaper was describing that, it might say, you know, loser gets killed in useless battle, you know, royal gets killed in useless battle. But, of course, in Shakespeare, we see the complexity of how this person lost their life. And we would never say, this guy's a loser, because we appreciate the full humanity. So works of art teach us to appreciate humanity, which is often lost in the kind of squashed media story that we otherwise receive.
L'art du voyage ou une semaine à l'aéroport nous montre comment on doit encore apprendre avec les pèlerins. Chaque voyage doit être un chemin de transformation intérieure, de découverte intérieure d'abord, avant tout. C'est ça? Même si on est seulement dans un aéroport.
I think travel interests me because it's the time of the year when you have a chance to be happy. Right? The rest of the time you do things for money, for responsibility. But a few times a year you say, right, I'm going to have this thing called a holiday. And this represents our best chance of expressing our philosophy of life. And most of the time it goes very wrong in one way or another. It doesn't go quite right. And part of the reason it doesn't quite right is because we think it's strange to think too much about it. You know, think of the way travel agents operate. The travel agency is in a way a fascinating job, but what it's trying to do is always sell you the cheapest hotel, the best flight, you know, very practical things. But in medieval times, in the heyday of the religious pilgrimage, travel was something much deeper than just relaxing or recreation. It was a journey in the outer world that was supposed to help you to have a journey in the inner world. So something was meant to happen in your heart because you had traveled in space. And that's a lovely idea. I think it's still there hidden in some of our ambitions about travel, but I think we should bring it out. I think, the travel agency of the future shouldn't ask you, where do you want to go? It should ask you essentially, what's wrong with you? Where are you suffering? And where you should go is a response to your suffering inside, rather than just, where there's a cheap
pour un autre business.
Absolutely. I mean, you joke about business because some of these ideas are so-called business ideas, but it sounds funny because we expect that business is about the material self, clothes, pizzas, shoes, right? But really, I think in the future, businesses will recognize that the inner self, the self that needs community, enlightenment, wisdom, this is also an important part of the human being. And why shouldn't this be part of commercial life? Because it's a part of our life.
Essai d'amour, votre premier livre, demeure votre préféré?
On a good day. Yeah.
Mais c'est bien parce que c'est un livre très émouvant, on peut dire comme ça, parce que vous terminez, je ne veux pas dire tout, mais vous terminez le livre comme vous l'avez commencé, en train d'être amoureux, again and again. C'est bien, mais la souffrance, c'est quelque chose qu'on ne peut pas éviter.
It's a book that tries to explore how one could be wise in love, but accepts that really one of the best ways to be wise is to accept that love is a kind of folly, a kind of madness, and that what we need to do is to find a perspective from which to look at this madness without letting it swallow us up. But most of the time, we will be seriously disturbed by love. And we need to be ready for this disturbance. Every life will be knocked sideways by love at various points. No matter how old or young you are, how wise, how clever, how this, you will be knocked sideways by love. And we have to respect this. Most of us is animal, most of us is emotion, and to think that we can think our way out of it is disrespectful to human nature. And so my book is a philosophical novel about love that plays with some of the paradoxes. And people often say to me, I read this book just after a relationship or just as I was falling in love. I think this is often the moment for literature. And it's a book for consolation, really.
Consolation is a central word,
Absolutely.
an idea in all your work. Selon vos thèses, la vie doit s'apprendre pour être meilleure. La vie a été difficile pour vous au début. Votre famille avait besoin de mieux apprendre à vivre.
I think my family was averagely crazy. I think most families are a bit crazy. I think, my family, they were very competent in the outside world. The outside world thought them as very normal and, successful. But I knew inside that lots was not right. And I think this is the experience, of most people, really. Human life is difficult for everyone. The problems are economic at the moment for many people, but they go way beyond the economy. I grew up in Switzerland, which is one of the most successful countries economically, and it's not a happy country. It has lovely mountains, but it's not Heidi. The whole thing is not paradise. And, even as a child, I was aware of this. I was aware that this was a very privileged country, and yet I was aware that it had a lot of problems. And even in this midst of this economic crisis, we should remember that the problems of human nature are not just economic ones. Life's a difficult business, and that's what excites me as a writer, that's what motivates me as a human being. How can we make a little bit of order, a little bit of sense before, death washes us away?
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much.
Alain de Botton.
Merci.
Mesmo a terminar, lembro de que no sítio do Ca Mara Clara pode encontrar muito mais sugestões de livros, discos, espetáculos, filmes, exposições, conferências. No mesmo sítio, pode ainda rever esta e outras emissões no dia e à hora que mais lhe convierem. Amanhã Luís Caetano regressa com o diário Ca Mara Clara, é aqui na RTP2 às 22h30. Deixo com um videoclipe do novo trabalho dos The Soaked Lamb, Evergreens, nas lojas de discos a partir de 18 de junho. A Flor e o Espinho chama-se este tema, de que lhe mostro aqui um videoclipe em estreia absoluta.
Tira o teu sorriso do caminho, Hoje para ti eu sou um espinho. O espinho não magoa a flor. Eu só errei quando juntei minha alma à tua. O sol não pode viver ao pé da lua. É no espelho que eu vejo a minha mágoa, a minha dor e os meus olhos rasos de água. Eu na tua vida já fui uma flor. Hoje sou um espinho.